All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, y'all. What's going on? I am Representative Jermaine Johnson, and I want to welcome you all to the very first podcast show of the Jermaine Johnson Show. I am excited to be here. I've got a guest that we're going to be talking to in a second. But first and foremost, happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to all. If you don't know about what Juneteenth is, you're in for a treat today. You're gonna hear about what Juneteenth is about and get some history lessons on that. As a matter of fact, if you're watching online, you can see my shirt. Got my Juneteenth shirt on. Want to make sure I wore that just to celebrate the Freedom Fest, the ancestors and the individuals who paved the way for me to be here to do the types of things that I'm here to do today. In this episode or in these shows, we're going to be talking about sports. We're going to be talking about black culture. We're going to be talking about state politics and a bunch of different things, talking to some interesting people about the things that they've been doing or they have done or plan to do and how to change the state of South Carolina for the better. I'm really excited to be able to lend my voice and just to be a part of spreading the positive message that we need to see in South Carolina, not only for black people, but for young people, for old people, for all people, because we have to work together to change the society for the future generations that are coming up here. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get this show kicked off. I am joined today by my good brother, Jamal Bradley. Jamal Bradley, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to hop on here and just have a conversation with me, brother. What's going on?
Man, I'm doing well, man. Enjoying this beautiful Juneteenth day.
Well, for the people that's out here listening to this first podcast, talking about Juneteenth on this special day, can you tell the people who are unfamiliar with who you are? Because listen, I know all about you, brother. I know everything that you've done, all the amazing stuff that you've done for this state, for people like myself. But for the people who don't know who you are, can you tell the people who you are?
So my name is Jamal Bradley. I'm the president and founder of the South Carolina Juneteenth Freedom Festival that was established in 2017. I'm also a husband. My beautiful wife, Carmen Rabia Terborg, who helped me co-found the South Carolina Juneteenth Freedom Fest, and the father of two. I'm a good son and the oldest of 8.
Ooh, Lord, that was an 8. Good God. Yes, I'm second to last of 9, so I get it, man. But you're the oldest of 8, so you taking care of everybody.
Yeah. I think that may have helped prepare me for some of the things I do in the community. It's a bunch of personalities in the house, and it's a bunch of personalities in the community.
Yeah, man. Hey, them personalities in the community, that's the one right there, bro. Like there's a lot of personalities in the community. It's very difficult, specifically in my position as an elected official. It's very, very difficult to relate to everybody, man. I'll tell you that much, though. But on this good Juneteenth day, man, for the people who are unfamiliar with what Juneteenth actually is, can you give us a history? Kind of like a history lesson about what is Juneteenth and, what made you decide to actually start honoring that day?
So I'm gonna be completely honest. In 2016, that's when I first found out about what Juneteenth was. Like a lot of people, I didn't know what it was. It was my wife, like I said, who truly is the founder of the Juneteenth Freedom Fest. It kind of makes me the co-founder, but she kind of schooled me to what Juneteenth was. In the lifestyle that we were in at that time, a lot of people wanted to just make, the festival, what we have now is the festival, just like a party or something like that. But I seen it as an opportunity to do so much more, touch on things that we're going through now and also honor those people whose shoulders we stand on. Juneteenth commemorates the emancipation of some of the last enslaved individuals who were held in Galveston, Texas, but more generally the South. It's celebrated as a holiday because it pretty much wraps up the Civil War. And I know a lot of people didn't want to celebrate it at first because they felt like it was a celebration made out of ignorance. A lot of people was like, oh man, them people didn't know that they were free 2 years ago, or the Civil War had only ended 2 months prior to. And you got a proclamation that's like me and you standing up saying, hey, we the 2 baddest men on the planet, but if we get beat up, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So the war had to be won first for it to be official, and only kind of official because freedom didn't come until late December. when the amendment was ratified in December. So, but Juneteenth, the celebration of the freeing of those last individuals who were held in Galveston, Texas, is basically the celebration. And what they did then, they got together. They cooked red foods to symbolize the the blood that was spilt on those who didn't make it, and for those who did make it. I checked out one of the stories, and when they arrived, when Gordon Granger arrived in Texas, he read General Order 23. The people are hereby informed that in accordance with that proclamation, since we won, right, since we won the war, in accordance with that proclamation, the people are hereby informed that you're free. And they didn't even let them finish reading the rest of it. They said people was taking off, running.
They was out of there.
Right then, people was out. Like, okay, we out. We free? Good, we gone. And part of it, is jubilation, but some of it is sad because you got to think of the institution that was being kept. Those slave owners didn't want to let those individuals go. Some of them got shot.
That's right.
Right then. The actual account says the river that they was crossing was the Sabine, and they said that so many people had ran but got shot that they turned the river red. So when you're celebrating not just the end of slavery or the somewhat end of slavery, because they say it's a 2.0, and that's that exemption clause in the Constitution, which there's an organization fighting to remove that. Because right after that, you had prison labor, and they were just locking up formerly enslaved people just for like, hey, y'all standing here, put you on the chain gang. So, to celebrate that, I know some people call it the end of something, but I like to call it the beginning of something. And it's the beginning of us getting back to what we were doing before we were so rudely interrupted.
Yes.
Right.
I love how you just put that.
That's 1865, right? Yep. 50 years after that, you have hundreds of black townships with thriving communities, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, like the one that they had, which I just found out they had a Black Wall Street in Columbia, South Carolina, like Wilmington, North Carolina. But there were hundreds of towns with economies that were doing so well that the federal government wanted to know, like, how are y'all doing this? Y'all was just slaves. You were just slaves for a couple hundred years.
That's that black magic, man.
And right after that, boom, y'all on it. What's happening? That's that black magic. So that's us getting back to what it was that we were doing. They didn't just kidnap mindless individuals from Africa and other places and bring them here. There were scientists and educated people and things that they passed down generation after generation. And some things are just instilled in us, I believe. It's just in there. It's in the sauce. So we can't give you the recipe.
Can't give us some spices, man. Yeah,
it's like that Bush's baked beans. We can't give you the recipe.
We just got it. Can't get the recipe. Yeah, we got the what's KFC's got the 11 spices and herbs or something, whatever they talk about. We just got some of that, man.
It's just in there.
You can't do it. Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with one of my white buddies the other day, and he was asking me about something, and I was like, I said I was trying to explain to him that we have some special communication tactics that other people wouldn't even understand, that how we communicate with each other sometimes, some secrets that I can't even let out, but that's how we just know. We just know what it is.
Absolutely. Last year I had the privilege of it, and I probably should have had the privilege sooner, but last year I had the privilege of going down to the Penn Center down in Beaufort, right? Yeah. And you learn about some of the Gullah culture down there. And then you find out, like, the people they brought here it wasn't just all in one place in Africa. They was all scattered out in different places. And then you jumbled them all up and threw them in a ship. Well, they didn't speak the same language. So they had to figure out a way to communicate. And that's where you get the Gullah language from. That is beautiful in itself. And then when they couldn't, they used drums and other things and gestures to, like, we're amazing. We're amazing.
Yeah.
And I celebrate.
I tell people all the time we are, man. We're absolutely amazing the skills, the abilities that we have. I mean, just the things that we've had to endure. And I talk to people a lot about this, man. I said, man, if my ancestors could come across, the Atlantic Ocean and go through all that bondage and all that and survive on that, I mean, the least I could do was get out here and cut this grass. I mean, it's stuff like that. It makes you proud, man. It makes you proud. I think about some things of just the ability to survive. And you think about what the black community has been doing for generations. We've been surviving. We've been surviving with the little bit that we've been able to get to be afforded to have. And it's just a blessing that where we're at right now, man. So I mean, with this Juneteenth today on Juneteenth, I always want to honor my ancestors. But I mean, I knew what Juneteenth was. I heard about Juneteenth for years, but I have to be honest, man. The first time I really started to get deep down into it was when you introduced it, man. It was like when you came up here with the Freedom Fest and you started doing the things that you were doing. So I have to say thank you to you for opening up a whole nother part of me, a whole other side of me to be able to do what I'm doing now and to really embrace it with my swag on and all that other type of stuff, to really embrace my culture, really embrace my history and everything like that, man. Have you had any other conversations with people who have said, have kind of come to you about that?
Yeah, well, we see people out, we meet people. Of course, our festival was just this past weekend over at Dutch Square Mall. Had a decent turnout. It was 1,000,000 degrees outside, but people still powered through and came out. And we're just grateful that we built up a following. And I tell you, the real blessing is 8 years ago we celebrated our 8th annual festival. 8 years ago, I didn't know any of the people that helped me pull this off. Any of the vendors, city council, county council. I didn't know any of these people, and I didn't think I was even on the path to doing it. And it's just amazing how God works in all of it, and it's truly an honor and a blessing to be able to do this. I was telling my team, even though it's only for 8 hours, right? We out there for 8 hours in the it was so well organized and put together that the city actually was like, yo, we can't wait to work with y'all again next year on this and just make it even better. So more organizations are wanting to do partnerships. So it's just beautiful, man. It's an honor and a privilege, for real.
So I mean, man, with all that amazing stuff you just talked about right there, man, I want to kind of dive into a couple more of those things, man. It's now becoming more and more evident that cities, towns, states are now recognizing Juneteenth. I mean, companies are like so I own an insurance franchise. Shameless plug. I own an insurance franchise called Goosehead. If you need some home insurance or auto insurance, rental insurance, call me up. But even in my insurance franchise, the main office is actually closed today in observance of Juneteenth. And 10 years ago, I never heard of a company closing on Juneteenth 10 years ago. Like, I never seen cities and towns and really people like recognizing this type of stuff. I know Texas actually made it a holiday back in 1980 or something, somewhere around there. I think somewhere around there. But they made it a holiday. What is wrong with South Carolina, and why the heck can't we get a Juneteenth holiday, man? And it's crazy that I'm sitting here saying this to you as a state representative, and I'm like, but I want us to have this conversation as to what do you think I need to do? Why don't we have one? What can we do to work together to get this to be a recognized state holiday?
So a couple of years ago, we started a petition to make Juneteenth a state holiday. We have now about 4,300 signatures. And I know Senator Darrell Jackson proposed a bill in the Senate to make Juneteenth a state holiday. But I know it went to the House, and I don't think it got much traction there. Right. I'm hoping that with the popularity of it now, that South Carolina was the first state to cede from the Union to protect the institution of slavery. Mm-hmm. And for South Carolina to be last to recognize a celebration of freedom, it just can't happen. Can't have
Yeah.
it, Jay. We can't.
Yeah.
We can't be last. We
Yeah.
can't, man.
Yeah, yeah. You know, if I can help out with this, man, I can assure you that I will, and I'm going to continue to try to fight this thing and to really get this thing implemented. Considering that, you know, one thing I'm very, very proud of is recently, just this past session, myself along with Representative Brandon Cox, we were able to lobby the Republicans and the Democrats to actually agree to pass a bill unanimously in the House and then unanimously in the Senate to put the very first African American monument dedicated to a single African American or black on the State House grounds coming up, and that is for Robert Smalls. And for you out there who don't know who Robert Smalls is, y'all better get out there and look this man up. It is a travesty that this man does not yet have a movie made about him. I mean, when you have the audacity of hope to commandeer a Confederate ship, sail out the harbor, get family members, go back, run for office, I mean, and actually have the audacity of winning, and you win. You created the South Carolina Republican Party. You created the public education system of South Carolina. I mean, you did all of that as a black man, a former enslaved person. You know, for it to be 2024, for us to just finally recognize the greatness of this individual is a travesty in itself, but a recognition that is well beyond deserved for an individual like that. So we've got to do more of this fighting to recognize the people who have made contributions to this state, who have made contributions to this country and contributions to black people as a whole.
Absolutely. Robert Smalls is a legend.
Yeah.
Is a legend. And you're right. There should be a movie adaptation of what it is that he was able to accomplish.
Yeah, you know, when you got somebody like Robert Smalls, man, that's really like, you know, it's somebody that I'm going to be proud to take my kids and my grandkids to the State House grounds to see this statue, and for them to first off to see my name on the statue, to say, you know, as somebody who helped to get that statue erected there on the State House grounds, and then, you know,
Man, that's powerful.
I mean, it's amazing,
That's
man.
powerful. Considering what the state has been through with things like, you know, the Confederate flag and all of those things like that on the State House grounds. And in fact, I know we just had the anniversary of the Charleston 9, Senator Pinckney, and his efforts to have that removed and everything like that, man. To have a monument of Robert Smalls, a true legend, here in South Carolina is powerful. That man was a hero, a real hero. And when they go in depth about the story, they actually wouldn't have been able to do what they did without him.
Yeah, Robert Smalls. Without a Robert Smalls, South Carolina would not be the South Carolina that so many people, you know, proclaim their love for. Without a Robert Smalls, man. So I mean, it's just one of those things, man. We have to talk about. You know, I was online. I had posted something online about how Robert Smalls was an American hero, and somebody was questioning that. I said, man, listen, South Carolina's in America, and what he did, it was just an amazing thing, not only for black people, but just for America as a whole. Because we know we love a good redemption story. We love a good story where, you know, we have an individual who is just going to take on the establishment, and that's exactly what Robert Smalls did. And here's a quick fact about Robert Smalls. You know, Robert Smalls, his great-great-grandson actually just won the Democratic primary to go to Congress, coming out of literally the same era that he represented. So I mean, yeah, right down there, right down in the Low Country. So, Michael Moore.
Man, you know, you always wonder. You hear about great individuals like Robert Smalls, and then you wonder, you're like, man, where's the family of Robert Smalls? Where's the family of Frederick Douglass? Like, where's the family of Harriet Tubman? All of the people like we used to do book reports on and things like that. And you just wonder, you know, it's like, where are they right now? And to know that he's continuing the legacy. And truly standing on the shoulders of his ancestors.
Standing on the shoulders. I mean, ain't that amazing? Like, I've had the honor of meeting him. He was a part of the International African American Museum down in Charleston as well before he stepped aside and he's running for Congress. I've had conversations with him about the monument we're putting up for his grandfather, and I mean he's clearly going to be a part of the erection of it, and the design of it and all that type of stuff. But I mean, it's just going to be an amazing thing to have somebody who shares the bloodline of this man that we are going to do that,
Right,
man. Fantastic,
right,
man.
right,
Yeah,
right. Like the lady who when she was sick and she was like, if I could just touch Jesus' hem or something like that, like I just want to
boy.
shake the man's hand.
Listen,
You know
but
what
that's
I'm
how I felt.
saying?
That's how I felt
Yeah.
also. Having an opportunity, and I actually a few years ago I actually had the honor of sitting down with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's son, and having a private discussion with him, just me, him, his wife, and Andrew Yang. And we sat down and we had a conversation with Martin Luther King III, man. And I mean, I could feel it. I could feel it, bro. Like, yeah, I could feel it in the
Like
room. Like,
nostalgia, right?
yeah, I just felt it, man. I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. My little small mind, from the ghettos, could not even fathom that I would ever have this opportunity to do that, man. So I know you sat around with people like that before yourself.
I've met some people, Cornell West, Danny Glover, people
Mm-hmm.
like that, who come down on the campaign trail, things like that, helping out. I think, for me, and you mentioned the African American Museum down in Charleston, we had Dr. Tanya Matthews, who is now the president, come up to Juneteenth and speak, and she did an amazing job. Um, Doing that. And there's actually a bus trip being scheduled today. Matter of fact, leaving out of Columbia to take some people down there for Juneteenth. And it's just, you know, you hear about like the 1619 project and all of that stuff, man, and everybody else talking about the history of their state. Um, I, Mr. Clyburn, uh, he was at USC and we was talking, and there is nowhere in the country with more history and more culture than South Carolina. And I moved down here from Philadelphia, which has its own history and culture also. But man, I'm really appreciating being down here and just learning about the incredible things that have happened. Um, I know you said you were having a discussion with someone and they were talking about, well, he shouldn't be a hero and all of that. That's because our stories aren't being told, and they should be shared in the classroom also. And I don't think it makes it a black power thing. It gives you an understanding of what it is that we've done and what it is that we've been through. And when you understand that story, you have a different appreciation for people. But if you deny them that, they think, well, all black people is what they see on the news. And it's a misrepresentation of who we are. When you leave out and intentionally leave out parts of our story, our history, and control a narrative through media like that, it misrepresents who we are. No, we're not all gang members. No, we're not all out there shooting at people. No, we're not all out there committing crime. Um, I was saddened to see that there was actually a shooting at a Juneteenth celebration in Texas. And a local station here shared it, and I was going, man, where is the headline about the one that we had that was successful, where there was no issues of violence or nobody was hurt, and we educated and entertained each other in good, clean fun, and that's another thing that I'm proud of. Um, One, was in the slave codes that we couldn't get together in large number, and we could only wear certain attire and things like that. But we could get together. We facilitate us getting together in large number, in vibrant colors.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy how you just brought up about the educational part of it. How it needs to be taught in schools. Coincidentally, I was a part of a press conference about a week ago, and we were protesting the fact that they are about to remove AP African American Studies from the educational system here in South Carolina, because they are, saying that it's the controversial stuff and all this other stuff that's going on in there. And I have made it. I made it well known that, first off, Black history, African American history is American history. And
It is.
the people of this state, they need to know that if this is not being taught in just normal education system, that they are being deprived of true history and a true educational journey. And I spoke out against this because, people like Robert Smalls, why are they not being taught in the everyday, education system? I had a conversation. I had to educate our superintendent of education. I had to educate our superintendent of education about, Sarah Mae Fleming. And, Sarah Mae Fleming, and for those who are listening right now, I'm going to ask you all, I'm going to give you all some homework to go look up who Sarah Mae Fleming was. And because we glorify, popular figures like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, but we have historical figures coming right out of South Carolina. And I had to tell our superintendent of education that Rosa Parks wasn't even the first Rosa Parks. The first Rosa Parks was a lady by the name of Sarah Mae Fleming out of Eastover, South Carolina, and she actually was on the Comet. Yep.
Man, I was about to say, Comet is one of our sponsors, and we're happy to have them. But I was educated myself on that it happened here first.
Yep.
But and it's not like it's a staged thing or anything like that. There was an effort to, one, humanize us because we weren't considered. So we had to do things to raise awareness, if you will, raise awareness to the struggles and everything like that we had. And that's what transpired with the Rosa Parks incident and everything like that. So, South Carolina is truly a remarkable place. I learned from Dr. Donaldson, Dr. Bobby Donaldson from USC.
Yeah.
He told us about a book called African Americans in the Palmetto State. And in that, I learned that it was in 1984. They actually proposed a bill to make African American studies a full curriculum all year round. And they agreed to it, but then they went back and switched it and said, we'll just do Black History Month. And it's short. But that's man, it's crazy.
But that's the mess that I'm talking about, man. Like, I can't, like, they want to water down our history to 28 days. So I kind of wanted to go back to the education part of African American history, Black history in South Carolina, because we're dealing with this issue right now where I feel like a lot of our young people are already being undereducated. I feel like if these young people actually knew a good bit of their history or who they were or who they are, that they'd be a little bit more pride in some of this stuff. But also the people of this state, if they knew who people were, the contributions to the society, we would actually be looked at as like humans and as like contributing members of the society, and it'd be a little bit different. I don't know. What's your take on that?
You're right. If you're active on social media and you share and stuff, like, man, I get tons of, like, when we start advertising for the festival, I get tons of like really like crazy comments from people. And like I was saying, if you teach the history, it gives people an understanding of who we are. And for the people for our people, it adds some value. And I think that's what makes it a little bit easier for some things that transpire in our community to happen. We don't understand who we are. We're not being educated on that. And we don't see value in each other. We had the screening of a Marcus Garvey documentary. And one of his quotes is, a people without knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And to exclude us, you have to feel like it's purposeful to exclude us from history, from American history, like you said. It just keeps it going, where other groups, other cultures feel like we haven't really contributed anything to society. And I know Frederick Douglass had his speech, what to the slave is the 4th of July celebration. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they don't teach you that it was black militias also that helped win the Revolutionary War. They don't talk about that. There would not be a United States if it wasn't for the contributions of African Americans. Abraham Lincoln said it himself. I have to go to Ethiopia. He said, I have to go to Ethiopia, speaking about our people, for help, instead of them coming to us for help. They couldn't have won the Civil War without 250,000 escaped slaves and free people who were in the North who joined that army. They were losing because the South had more money, because they were still protecting the institution of slavery. They were still running. But they were losing the war. And if those people hadn't joined, we might be living in the Confederate States of America.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because Confederate Memorial Day is actually a holiday celebrated here. And I don't have an issue with, people celebrating
I do.
what they
I ain't
hold,
gonna lie.
what they
I
hold
have
dear.
I have an issue with it. I've got bills to abolish it. I've got bills to abolish that date, and I've got a bill to actually make to change Christopher Columbus Day into Indigenous People Day. Yeah,
I can
I've
see
got a
that.
problem with it.
I can.
I've got a problem. You tell me
Ain't
where in the
no
world?
capping. Ain't no capping
Yeah,
on it. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. You tell me where in the world do we celebrate traitors? Where in the world do we celebrate the traitors, the treason? We don't celebrate those. We don't honor those people. You can. I
Yeah,
bet you can't
yeah,
find us. You will not find a single Nazi, glorification statue anywhere in Germany. You won't find this stuff. You won't find pictures of Hitler and swastikas and all that type of stuff over there, because they know that they were traitors. We don't do that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we've
Absolutely.
got to, we can't keep honoring people who were just flawed people. We can't keep doing that.
Yeah, and you see it. You see it. And I think people are starting to get it, understand, with the removal of some of those monuments. And like man, what you got going on with the statue of Robert Smalls coming to the State House, the removal of that Confederate flag, and now that it's just
Yeah.
powerful, man. And I just want to commend you also on being a part of the legacy, being a representative in South Carolina. Um, when they were right after the war, when they were fighting for the right to vote, it didn't take long for the legislative part of South Carolina to become majority black.
Mm-hmm.
But after they
Yep.
removed some safeguards, they kind of took it back. But
Yep.
it's man, I'm telling you, we're incredible. We're incredible.
Yep. Yeah, a lot, and people don't even understand that South Carolina, the legislators used to be majority black. This was a black state, and people don't understand that a lot of the Low Country was abandoned because of how terrible it was after the war, and African Americans, black people, stayed and they toured the land and they did all that stuff to make it a habitable place, and then it came back and it was taken back from us. So
Yeah,
people don't
yeah,
understand the history behind a lot of these things that happen in this state, and why it is so successful is definitely because of African Americans and our contributions to what we've done for this state.
well, man, just not even just the state, man. You look at, like I said earlier, the Black Wall Streets and everything like that, and
Yeah.
all these thriving black towns. Now, after they were destroyed, guess what happened to the country? We went into a depression.
Yep.
The country went into a Great Depression, and that's how important and key we are to this country. And it's crazy that we don't know it. It's crazy
Yeah.
we don't know it, but for the time that we have people's attention, man, I'd like to, highlight that as much as I can. And I appreciate you having this platform, for allowing me to come on. And then you also just to share and talk about this stuff, man.
Yeah, I think we can probably do. We're at a great start, and getting a lot of this information out, and talking to people about our history. But I feel like we as because very soon we're going to be the elder. I see you got your wisdom on your face there, brother. So very soon we're going to be considered the elders. And that type of stuff. And I think that we needed to even do a better job of passing down this information to the next generation and passing down our history. One thing that I discovered from my family is that I am Jermaine Johnson. However, my grandfather was on a plantation, and he ran away from a plantation. His name was Joseph LaFrance, and when he ran away from the plantation, his name was actually changed to Joe Johnson, not Joseph Johnson, but it was changed to Joe Johnson. So, and then my father's name is Joe Johnson Jr., and then they made my name Jermaine LaFrance Johnson because they wanted to keep the LaFrance name alive. So my original name is supposed to be Jermaine LaFrance. But that is part of the history of my family. And I named my son Jermaine LaFrance Johnson Jr. because we're going to keep that history. We're going to keep that name alive. We need to do a better job of passing stuff like that down through the generations.
Man, absolutely, absolutely, man. That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Just think, if your ancestor didn't have the resilience and strength to do what he did, man, would you even, what I'm saying? Would we?
Boy, I'm telling you, man.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy, and it's just powerful. It's just powerful, man. I know some people are ashamed of it, man, but I just look at it as if you dive into the story of us, man, you really see a strong, resilient people, man, and that's what we celebrate through Juneteenth.
Yeah. My mother's father actually was a Buffalo Soldier. The last living Buffalo Soldier, to be exact. He passed away a few years ago, but he was the last living Buffalo Soldier in America, man. So I've got history on both sides.
I know y'all got your phone number in my phone, and we can send text messages and inbox, man. But I need your autograph, man. You plugged in.
It's stuff that I really didn't appreciate until I got older, And I've been at the State House and I've talked about this at the State House to say, like my family, that like we are of the soil. We are of the soil. We come from Africa, but we have made significant contributions to this country. And for anybody to question our love for this country, or to question our love for our people, or to say that we can't love this country and love our people simultaneously, it is just categorically false. It is a slap in the face. Every time they talk about my people at the State House, I'm like, man, that's a slap in the face of my family members, because my family, my father was in Vietnam. My older brother was in Desert Storm. We have contributed significantly to this country's freedom. So just to suggest that we don't love this country in any way is a slap in the face, and is just disrespectful to all of us.
Absolutely. We're the only people here that are asked to forget about their culture and just join in whatever. Polish Americans, Italian Americans,
Yep.
Irish Americans, all of these people are allowed to, all these other groups, are allowed to keep their culture and celebrate it. But hey man, that was a long time ago. Forget about it. It wasn't that long ago.
Long ago.
Tulsa happened in 1921, right? I know I was born, and I know I got the grade, but I was born in 1979, 44 years old. 50 years is not that. It's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago, man. It's not that long ago. Just for the simple fact is, like, I have plenty of family members that are still alive now that I can call them, like my mom. I can call her and say, what was it like before the Civil Rights Movement? Like, what was it like before? What was it like for you when you couldn't go into a restaurant, or when you couldn't ride on this bus, or when you couldn't do this? What was it like? Like, they're still alive. The people who are in power were literally in power during the Civil Rights Movement. These people are literally still here. So when people keep telling me it was a long time ago, no, it was not. Just ask your
No,
grandfather. just,
right, right.
just ask your grandmama. Like, ask them what was it like, because they're literally still in power. They're still doing these things, and you can't tell me that time has just changed so much when literally these people are still alive.
Man, I know you asking me most of the questions, man. I just want to ask you a question, man. With all of the work that you're doing up at the State House, man, how can we get behind you and other representatives that are actually fighting? Because each generation is going to have their part in maintaining the freedom that was fought for. Man, how do we support what Representative Johnson is doing, what some of the newly elected officials are doing?
Yeah.
I believe you now got Senator Ivory Thigpen. You got
Well, look,
Representative
we're gonna see. Yeah, well, we're gonna see what's gonna
Hamilton
happen.
Grant.
He's in a runoff right now. So, Mr. Thigpen is in a runoff with Councilman Overture Walker right now. We'll know we're gonna know the results of that election in a couple weeks, and we'll know exactly
Okay.
who's gonna be the senator in that race. And then, but we've got I believe Hamilton Grant will be the winner of his seat. He'll be coming to the State House. We've got some young people coming up, man. We got some heavy hitters coming to the
Man,
State House, man.
man, awesome.
Yeah,
Powerful. Man, y'all lit, man. Just how do
yeah.
we get behind? How do the people get behind it? I know it's some things that go on, and I know there has to be some frustrations on your end, you all's end
Yeah.
with people. But what can we do? What can nonprofit organizations do? What is it? Is it civics? Is it holding more roundtable discussions with you all so we can see and be aware of what's going on at the State House level and other levels?
Yeah, the main part would be staying in contact with people like myself, because people like me, we're constantly trying to reach out to you all to say, hey, listen, show up for this, like, or come to the hearing for that, or come speak out against this. And it's hard to get people to galvanize, because see, I'm Jermaine Johnson, I'm one voice, but if I have Jermaine Johnson, Jamal Bradley, and his whole crew of the Freedom Fest attendees to come up to the State House and say, hey, listen, we want this bill to be passed, and all 1,000 of you all are coming or signed up to testify to get this bill passed. They don't want to sit there through that bill. They don't want to sit there through that 1,000 people testifying about why we need to get this thing passed. And then you all get to mobilize and say, hey, listen, if you don't pass this bill, we've got people in your district that are going to vote against you. That's how you galvanize the support, and that's how you get things passed, is you have to have people power behind these things. But when I'm up there just screaming and ranting and hollering by myself, and they're like, yeah, he can scream as loud as he wants to, but ain't nobody coming to have his back, then I'm out there by myself. So I need my army, I need my squad with me to come show up and to do some of these things along with me, man. The more people we got, man, the more things we can get changed.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
So on this Juneteenth holiday of 2024, man, tell us what we can pretty much expect from Jamal Bradley going forward for the Juneteenth to follow, man.
We're looking at doing some real collaborations. We did meet a good deal of people just through the events that we've been doing. Our goal, and I put this on our logo, is to educate, liberate, and then celebrate. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be focusing more on our young people, getting the information out to them about what this event is. And you can churn up any weekend. You can party any weekend. But certain things are set aside, special moments are set aside for a reason. So we're going to be figuring out how to get more young people involved and active in what it is that we're doing in the community. I know it's a saying, if there's no babies crying in the church, you might as well close the door.
That's
So
right.
if you don't get if you don't get the young people involved, man, you might as well stop. And we don't want to make the stigma that our young, it's our young versus our old, it's the man versus the woman. We're bringing the community together, and it's the entire community. So we'll just keep doing what we've been doing, improving what we've been doing over the last 8 years. And that's, spreading what Juneteenth is, celebrating our people, and educating them.
If anybody wants to be a part of the movement, or they want to get in contact with you, they want to contribute or whatever, do you have any way that people can get in contact with you?
Yes, I have no choice now. Like you, I'm a public person, and people see me out. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, it's the social media. The South Carolina Juneteenth Freedom Fest is our page on Facebook. I know that's the young people say Facebook is for the old people, but we're also we're also on Instagram as well. Juneteenth Freedom Festival SC. Um, My email is Jamal Bradley at JuneteenthFreedomFest.com. I'm going to try to make that shorter going forward. That's a lot to type. But all our information is there, man. You could inbox me. You could email me. You can call me. My number is out there. I think collaborations really show the spirit of community. And the more people that are involved and want to be involved, the better it is for the community. I actually spoke to a young lady who is a events coordinator for Richland 2. And I was like, man, I didn't know that they did that. And she was like, well, I think we're a little bit unique because we're the only district that allows that for community engagement, to get the kids involved through events and things like that. So it's just not the monotony of sitting in class doing the same
Yep.
thing they've been doing for the last, since
Yep.
you and I was in school, man. So,
Yep.
but she was saying, she'd like to get her students involved, and we're doing some things with art, of course, history, but that's the goal, man, to bring in more young people. And the more young people we have involved, the better. Like yourself, you're a young person and you're in the politics. Somebody instilled that in you, right? You know what I'm saying? So we want to be that catalyst for somebody to want to go on and celebrate our history and our culture also, but just in different spaces, man. So we just gonna keep doing what we're doing. I'm grateful to the city of Columbia, Richland County. They get behind the event. Um, we do get loads of sponsors, and that's what makes it all possible. Without the people who support the event and the community attending it, it just can't happen. It fall off. And we just want to make sure that we're keeping it going. We have too few things to celebrate, but we have so much to
Yes.
celebrate. Amongst ourselves, we have a lot of things to celebrate, but for the world to see, we have too few things to celebrate. So we just want to keep on, spreading the message of what Juneteenth is, who we are as a people, and just celebrate that and improve, man.
Yeah, man, I love it, man. I love it. I do want to ask you one last question before we get off here, man. Is Juneteenth, is it a holiday where everybody can celebrate, where all of us, where we invite everybody in, or is it excluded to only one group of people? And I asked that question because I think it was last year there was a sign. There was some signs in Greenville, and they were advertising for Juneteenth, but they had some white folk on the signs for Juneteenth, and some people got up in the uproar, was saying, "Why the heck they have the white folk on the signs and we're advertising for Juneteenth?" So,
Well,
how do you feel about that?
with it becoming a national holiday, it's people who've been celebrating Juneteenth for like years and years and years
Yeah.
before. And it was championed for. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, this is a holiday they gave us. No, this was championed for by the people who first celebrated, and by people who appreciated what it was before everybody else knew what it was. Of course, there are going to be attempts to commercialize Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what they were trying to do in Greenville was make it inclusive. But I'll say this. We go down to 5 Points and celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and they don't have to create a black leprechaun. You know what I'm saying? We go down to We
Bars.
go down to the Puerto Rican. We go down to the Puerto Rican Day festival that they have downtown, and we're not asking them to add Pan African colors to it. We just go down there and enjoy who they are and what they bring to the community as a culture.
Yes.
We go down there and we celebrate and we learn about what it is that they got going on. You might see somebody down there cha-cha and whatever
Yeah.
they dancing, so we wild like that. But we're not asking anybody to change their celebrations and to cater to the African American community. So I don't think we should do it, but can anybody celebrate it? Yes. I think if anybody wants to learn or has questions about what our community is, who we are, the things that we have contributed. I don't understand why they're acting like this or why they're doing this or why that thing is such a big deal. Come learn. Come
Yeah.
learn and see what it is that we're talking about, what it is that we're celebrating. I know for some people, just the idea of, and if you just based it off of movies, oh man, white people are terrible and black people are just, victims and da 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 da. And then you have people saying, oh, well, they still got that victim mentality and things like that. No, it's a little fresh for the country. And I think we need time to establish what it is first
Yeah.
before
Right.
we start, telling people, hey, do this, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
Straight people go to Pride just to celebrate and party, you know what I'm saying? Party
Yep.
with everybody. It's not, you don't have to be black to enjoy it and celebrate it along with black people. But if you want to learn, if you appreciate, if you do know, if you do support the African American community, then you can be involved. But it is a celebration of the emancipation of the African Americans who were enslaved.
Right.
So that's who it's about, but it's for everybody.
Gotcha, man. Listen, I think that's a perfect way to end this segment, man. So I want to say first off, thank you, my brother, for coming on here, being a part of this conversation, trying to move this movement forward with just educating the entire population of South Carolina, let them know exactly what this is all about. And this is on Juneteenth for the inaugural, for the very first Jermaine Johnson Show. Talking to good people who are doing good things. And we're going to be coming back with you very soon with another show just as equally as entertaining, just to really engage in the people. So, Jamal, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on here. And hope to have you back again soon, man, when you take this thing national.
Man, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. I've done like interviews and stuff like that, man, but when it's a friend and somebody you admire, you know what I'm saying? And we like kind of had these conversations, but just like in passing. So it make it a little bit easier, man. And I thank you for the opportunity. I'm grateful for everybody that supports what it is that we doing. And, yes, you can come help out and be involved. Don't be afraid to. Don't be shy. I don't care what your nationality is or race, whatever that is, uh, gender, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'll say this too. I know you just asked it, but if I could go back, we're probably one of the more inclusive celebrations around, man. And I don't discriminate. One of our volunteers who's been volunteer, his name is Doug Grucy. Doug is a white guy. Doug volunteers to support Juneteenth every year and shows up as a volunteer every year. So, no, I'm not turning anybody away. Anybody who wants to come help us pull this stuff off, because you can't do it without the community, man. Can't do it without platforms like this spreading the word. You can't do it without the support of local government. So, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And sometimes I get at a loss for words for how grateful I am. But, man, I'm just grateful. If I could just sum it up in the one word, just grateful.
man, my brother. Well, this is Representative Jermaine Johnson, and we will be back next week with another podcast.